July. And now you don't want to go back to work? Yep. And most of us still ain't ready to come back to work at all. That would be me too. Because good Lord, we worked this weekend. But did you eat, and eat again this weekend? Let me be the first to say, and I need to say this out loud because I'm going to put an APB out on these folks. The cheering of, the grand cheering of, and the mama. Mama Lou. She know who, everybody like, who the hell is Mama Lou? Mama Lou know. Mama Lou know. She know that I was going to call her out today. She knew I was going to talk about him. I'm going to talk about him. I'm talking about all your babies. I'm talking about your children and your children's children. Mama Lou. Somebody need to go and call Mama Lou and say, Gerard on the radio talking about you. Yeah, Mama Lou in Marrero. Y'all know what? I ain't talking about Mama Lou in the East. Or nowhere. I'm talking about Mama Lou in the Marrero areas. Areas. Mm-hmm. Mama Lou, you need to call me. 504 582 9422. I need to talk to Mama Lou. Everybody's trying to figure out why this man need to talk to Mama Lou. I can tell you now. Mama Lou and her childrens, her daughters, cooked for the 4th of July. And had the families over. Everybody was coming over in the neighborhood, yada, yada, yada. But when I tell you they cooked, they burned. They actually had so much food. I was like, y'all got to be kidding me. Who y'all cooking for? Who was y'all cooking for? But when I tell you the food was, you can't tell me, go on, baby, get you something to eat and give me a spoon and let me loose. You know better than that. You know now. And then she said, after you do that, go inside and get you some potato salad. Well, you know the first thing I'm thinking about, well, what you got? And they uncovered the farrow, not the foil, but the farrow off them big old, what you call them, big old steno pot, them aluminum pans, them steno that you put on the fire. What you call those pans? You know what I'm talking about, the big old pans you put on the steno with the fire underneath them. She had everything in those pans. So it was a whole lot of food in there.
Pans?
Huh?
Pans?
The aluminum pans.
That you serve them in?
Yeah.
Chafing dishes.
What you call them?
Chafing dishes.
There you go. Thank you, bro. But I'm sitting there going, she got one or two, 3 or 4, 5 or 6. What? It's like 10 pans over there. And she let me loose with a spoon.
So is that why you're walking sideways today?
Better be glad I'm walking. So we had baked beans. I never had garlic crabs. Yeah, bruh. She had a whole pan of what you call the pans again?
Chafing dishes.
Chafing pans of garlic.
Chafing dishes.
Chafing dishes. Of garlic crabs. I ate some of those.
Wait, the marinated crabs?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yes,
had
sir.
that before.
Huh?
I've had that before.
Bruh.
Oh, yeah. Bruh.
I had catfish in the pan in itself. Even did something special with the hot dogs. The hot dogs didn't even taste like the hot dogs.
It might have been them Chisasi hot dogs.
The what?
Chisasi's.
What's that?
No, Chisasi hams?
Oh.
Chisasi hot dogs.
Bruh.
Or King Cotton hot dogs. Boy, that was the truth.
Yeah, those. Let me see what else I missed. I ain't including the vegetables, the boiled shrimp. The boiled shrimp, you just you just peel them and they just fall right out of the shell.
Boiled?
Yes, sir.
Boiled?
Yeah, barrel.
There you go.
There you go. The barrel shrimp. And I had ate so much,
How much you ate?
bruh.
Bruh?
Bruh. I was asking for. I asked the older man that was there. I didn't get his name. I don't know if that was the daddy, granddaddy, but it probably was because he had the big chair in the living room. He was sitting in the big chair. I walked up to him. I said, "How you doing, sir?" He said, "Man, you got you something to eat, huh?" And he started laughing. I said, "Well, I'm full, huh?" He said, "You look like it."
He ain't make you kiss the ring, huh?
No. But I was trying to see if he was gonna get up out that chair at that time because I was gonna sit down. He ain't never get up.
It's probably about as full as you were.
Yep, exactly. So I told Mama Lou, I said, "Mama Lou, it's a crime y'all did this much food." And they were still cooking stuff. They won't finish. So they had all the coolers so you could get your drinks out of there, your beer out of there, your wine coolers out of there, your
They had
sodas.
the check sodas.
Oh, bro, they ain't had the check soda. They had the good stuff, bro. They had the
okay.
good stuff. Not you buy the check sodas when you got a whole bunch of folks coming over. But they didn't do that. They had, you want Pepsi? You want Dr. Pepper?
Ooh, brand name.
What?
Oh, wait. Oh, Lord. She said Dr.
Did
Pepper.
you want a Dr. Pepper, baby?
Uh-oh.
I started crying. It was like, we'll pour it for you. He go thing of ice. It was ice cold. You think I drank that Dr. Pepper?
You drank it.
Hmm?
Yeah, you drank it.
I did. I was just trying to make it sound dramatic.
Uh-huh.
And then I drank a Pepsi.
Oh, 2 sodas?
Yeah, I drank 2 sodas. So I was stuffed. I had to sit there for a minute. I went with the sheriff. I went to the sheriff. Me and the sheriff went over there. Both of us sitting down in the chair looking like we were homeless. Yeah. I said, "You all right?" She said, "I am full." I said, "You ain't full as me." We had to sit there for a minute and just sit there and let it digest. Couldn't leave.
That's bad when you gotta let it digest.
Yeah, you had to let it digest. I couldn't move. So, Mama Lou, where you at? 504 582 9422. I'm looking for you to call me. Somebody need to go over a house. I know somebody out in Marrero listening or know a number. Y'all need to call her and let her know that I'm talking about it. And then try to get me to get something else to eat. Not take with you. Go on get you something else. Get you another plate. Mama Lou, I'm full. That's all right, baby. You don't eat like this every day. I said, pretty much, I'm overweight. She's like, oh, that's all right, baby. That's just more to hold on to.
That one was too easy.
Yeah.
I let it slide.
Mm-hmm. She was like, get you something else to eat. I couldn't eat no more. It would have been a crime to do so.
So I know you had to leave with a plate because if you don't, that's an insult.
I didn't leave. I didn't leave with a plate, though.
What?
No. They had more people there. Oh, God, they had about 20 people in there. I was like, ooh. She was like, you can get you something to eat if you want to take it with you. I was like, no, Because, when you get that much food in your belly, you know what's coming.
Oh.
Humana. And yes, sir. There I am.
What's wrong with Gerard? Oh, his feet about 2 feet off the ground.
Well, holding on for dear life. Holding on for dear life. Whew. Mm-hmm. So after that, let me see what else I did. We went to Tita's party over at 504. Tita had a 4th of July party, white party. Everybody was dressed in white over at
I thought you was talking about the people.
Huh?
I thought you were talking about the people.
I missed that one.
You said it was a white party.
Oh, you thought the people?
Yeah.
No, sir. No. It was a white party where everybody dressed up in white. You need Jesus for real. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
He sent me back.
We went over there. Saw a whole bunch of folks. hung out for about hour and a half. And then after we left there, we went over to Metro to Congressman Troy Carter's party. And after we left there,
Yeah.
it was so many. I'm reading at the same time. That's why.
Ron told me he saw you out there.
Who? Yeah,
Ron.
yeah. We saw Ron at the. We saw him at the convention center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he
Yeah,
came up.
I saw Gerard and the sheriff out there.
He came up to talk to her. I made sure that he knew who she was, so that I see Ron at least 2 or 3 times a week. So I was like, bro, let me show you what else we do. So I introduced him to her. He was like real cool. And then after, after we left Metro had so many people. You know how, you got too many people when you go into a building that is usually full of air conditioning.
Yeah.
And it then feels like it is just hot to death in there.
Well, you know our people, we suck air up.
Bruh, they must have been sucking it through a vacuum themselves because it was like hot as the devil in there. So we went upstairs, said hello to a couple of people, saw a couple of the judges, talked to other folks as well, stood there and let her do her mingling, and then went back downstairs and went out the door. That's too many people.
Couldn't do it. You know how I am about crowds.
Huh?
You know how I am about crowds.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
So that was Friday night. And then Saturday, went to the convention center and did Radio Row over there. Saw all the folks here. Saw what's her name, and Mr. Banks. Saw him over there. They interviewed her for a few minutes. And then she interviewed with stations out of Carolina, Jackson, Mississippi. It was a lot of on Radio Row. That kind of threw me for a loop. There were a lot of just influencers there that were recording and putting stuff up on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that. Was not a lot of radio stations there. And that kind of threw me for a loop because, at the end of the day, I'm a radio man.
Well, that goes the same for both of us. And the thing that kind of threw me for a loop, didn't hear any
radio announcements,
radio advertisements whatsoever.
Were there any on us?
No.
Because
no,
I was
understand none of the stations.
So I made it a point that I was going to make it my topic of conversation today. And my topic of conversation was about Essence. That is my topic of conversation today, Essence. And what did Essence mean to our community then and now? Because what's disturbing to me about Essence this year was it did not include us. And I'm not talking about just this radio station. It didn't include the radio station that much. No advertising whatsoever. But what did Essence mean to everybody else? What did Essence mean to the people of New Orleans? What did it mean then? What did it mean now? And where were the folks? Where were they? Because I didn't see them. And I did not see the...
You know what they were advertising, huh?
Where?
I saw them doing things, not commercials, but giveaways on one of the TV stations here.
On the TV station?
Uh-huh.
And on one of the radio stations. Well, they were doing on 2 radio stations, FM 98 and 93, of course. But they were doing giveaways. But the advertisement made me go,
There's normally at this time of year, I'm bombarded with doing spots for Essence.
Mm-hmm.
It got to be last week, and I'm like, hold up, I haven't done one Essence spot this year. What's going on with that? I asked our salespeople. It's like, man, we just don't know. We had to call around and find out what's going on. Nothing.
So I'm thinking, now this is my personal opinion, I'm thinking that they miss the mark as far as advertisement. I know that the marketplace was not right. And then I'm hearing these rumors from a lot of my insiders that are telling me that the folks that put it together, the Gina Charbonnets, the Gina Montanas, were fired. They were not.
They didn't have Gina working with them?
Hmm?
They didn't have Gina Charbonnet working with them.
They fired her.
Big mistake.
So the marketplace was not the marketplace. All those things that were Essence, the culture of New Orleans, was not there this year. And I heard more complaints about folks that were pulling out, that were not, they were not a part of Essence like they usually are. And I'm like, why? What happened to the sponsorships? What happened to those folks that were trying to be a part of it? And if we couldn't figure that part out, then I'm sorry, something's going wrong. So I said that, I know what we are going to do, and that's not let this go. I want to make sure that we understand that this started back 30 years ago. And if you're trying to make changes and exclude the folks from New Orleans, then how are you going to throw a New Orleans party? So I said to Gina Charbonnet, as well as I said to Gina Montana, I want to call you and ask you, what is it? And I think that the folks from Essence suffered from it, because what I did see was a reduction in the sales as far as tickets were concerned. Hotel buildings were not full.
80% occupancy.
Huh?
80% occupancy.
Correct. But usually we would see those folks saying, man, you can't get a room nowhere. Well, that to me is a problem. So we shall see. All right, let's take a break. We'll take the break here. We'll come back, have some more communications with you and some more comments coming up, y'all.
Communications?
Communications, that's right. That's still Mama Lou's cooking. Ooh.
Well, you got the slurs.
Everybody hold tight.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Kyle Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. 504-582-9422 is my number. I really want to hear from New Orleanians about what we just experienced over the 4th of July holiday. We are usually all hyped up and ready to go out and have some fun and partying. But I heard a lot of comments on social media as well as folks that were just, speaking about Essence Festival this weekend. What did you think? So call me now, 504-582-9422. It did show in the numbers, meaning that not enough people came. What were their reasoning? Not a lot of ticket sales. What were their reasoning? Did you go over to the convention center? What was your reasoning? I'd love to hear from you. What you say, Eric?
Hey, Gerard, it's your favorite caller and listener, man, Eric.
Oh, boy, I'm glad you labeled yourself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good, man. I just want to make an observation here, man. It sounds like you and the sheriff have spent a lot of time, you and Sheriff Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she's a single woman, and you're a single man. So, what are the chances that there's going to be an office romance here?
About a good chance like you're going to be involved, as well as the pastor that's going to marry us. How about that?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't mind being the best man. I mean, especially since I brought it up. But
you want to be the best man?
Of course. Well, unless Wick wants it, I mean, I could be the ring boy.
I'm not even going to say that was too easy for me to even say, so I'm not even going to say anything. But I don't think that would happen at all. Mm.
No.
No.
Okay. All right, G. Well, hey, that might be a golden opportunity, man.
Might have to pass that one by, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'd just like to point out here, just make another observation here. It seems like, all these public officials in Orleans Parish that don't know what the hell that they're doing. They sure know how to throw a party, though, right?
You
got
think
the
so?
Mayor, you got the sheriff, you got Troy Carter.
The sheriff didn't throw no party.
I'm sorry?
The sheriff didn't throw no party.
Well, no, but so she was going to these events.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the mayor threw a party. Troy Carter threw a big party.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like the voters in Orleans Parish that all you have to do is throw a big party once a year, and you can fool them into voting for you. Instead of the elected official maybe doing like the hard work the rest of the year, it just seems like the voters get fooled by, hey, I'm going to throw a big party. Hey, I'm going to do a turkey giveaway. Hey, I'm going to give this away, school, pencils and notebooks and backpacks. And it just seems like that's all it really takes. And so when people go to the polls, they're like, well, I'm going to vote for the one who can throw a great party.
Well, I think the first thing you got to remember is if somebody's giving away pencils, notebooks, backpacks, of those types of issues, it's because they're more than likely in some type of economic bind, and your public official probably understands that. I don't know if you have kids, but when I had to do that for my child, it was a big expense. Nobody's giving you discounts on buying all of these things that are required on these papers. They give you a list of stuff that you need to have for your child to go to school. And then when you go in and buy all this stuff, this is hundreds of dollars of stuff. So when they are giving those types of things away, I think that's needed. And I can appreciate that. As far as the parties are concerned, somebody's going to have a party anyway. So why not the public official throw a party that you know that a lot of people can come through and be able to shake your hand and put your hands on you and say hello? Why not?
Well, it just seems like the rest of the year that it really focus on what they're.
But I think that you got to understand something. It's always something going on in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
So they always have something for the people to be able to show up. They're gonna go anyway. So what's wrong with that?
It just seems like I just think that the voters get duped. I mean, you don't really see that in like St. Bernard Parish or St. Charles Parish or like St.
And they
Parish
have what over there? They will have what in St. Bernard Parish that draws people to what do they have?
Well, they can have anything, man.
Like
they
what?
Can do a little. They can
what?
do what? They can,
What
they can
festivals
do their overflow,
you can name?
Essence Overflow, or Jazz Fest Overflow, or something
to go
like,
to
like
St.
that.
Bernard Parish for Essence Overflow, and who's throwing that
Why
party?
not? Well, the elected officials, if they wanted to, but you don't see them doing that.
And when the last time you took a look at the demographics of those folks?
What, in St. Bernard Parish?
And St. John the Baptist, they got a lot of folks over there that look like us. But do you think that a lot of folks in St. John, or do you think St. James, or do you think that a lot of folks over in Chalmette are going to say, hey, for all of you all that are going to Essence and there's an overflow, why don't y'all come over here?
Hey, I think that's a great. I think we came up with something new, man.
No. We need to rephrase that. You came up with that one, Eric.
Yeah. Well, look, this is like last thing that I'm gonna hang up.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of Sheriff Hudson going out to all these parties, why isn't she out there looking for Derek Groves? She's got all these other police agencies looking for him.
You don't think that she has her team out there? She's got an SRT team out there.
I'm saying her. Why isn't she personally getting involved in it and doing things to try to find and
you have
locate
no
and
idea
capture
what the
Derek
stuff
Groves?
you have no idea what the stuff that she's doing to try to make sure that's fine. Half the time when she's out, listen to me. Since you made that statement, I'm gonna answer it for you. Half the time when she is out, she's on the phone 90% of the time, going and making sure that she's got teams in strategic places to go look for them if there are some type hits, or somebody's giving you direction or giving you a tip or something of that sort. She's directing it. So you got your information wrong on that one.
Well, I would say this: if I was Sheriff Hudson and if this big escape happened on my watch, I know I'd be out there personally pounding the pavement. I wouldn't be at Troy Carter's party or TD's party. I'd be out there pounding the pavement personally, looking for Derek Groves.
Okay, I remember that when you tell us what job you have, and you're not out there personally doing it, but you got somebody else doing it for you. How about that?
Well, hey, you know what? I offered to be your co-host, and you don't even have to pay me anything. I'll come in there maybe once or twice a week, and liven things up.
I'm sorry, your
for
connection is breaking up. Hello?
Is that click?
Hello? You about to hit it. Goodbye.
Okay. All right, bye.
I'll talk to you later. All right, Cedric.
Man, that dude there, I don't understand why you didn't. Wow. The sheriff suspended her campaign for over a month.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. Do I like the woman? Yes. Do I like the sheriff? Yes. Does she share some blame with this jailbreak? Yes. She already took responsibility.
Yep.
But why, Mr. Eric, why aren't you holding everybody accountable in that situation?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, you're talking about people giving parties for Essence. Seem like there's two new political leaders on the block, and one of them running for mayor did a video yesterday talking about Essence. Well, I'm glad she's joining the fun, the festival or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about Essence Festival, no, they do not respect New Orleans people like they should. Yes, there is a lot of turnover, or a lot of people from New Orleans seemingly this year have gotten messed over. And I must say, again, yes, the economy or the lack thereof has something to do with what's going on with Essence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say this. When we first got Essence, we had a strong mayor and we had a strong city council. You know, we had Mark Morial, who courted Essence, helped to bring it in. He had a better relationship with Miss Susan Taylor as well, you know, and just now, man, hey, why should Essence respect us when all we do is if we have city leadership that's at war with one another,
Mm-hmm.
while the city is not getting anything. And it's my understanding, Gerard, that a couple of artists didn't get paid until the night of their events.
Really?
I believe they kind of messed up with some of them with getting their advance money. And I can't say no names.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just Essence is just off. But how can we expect Essence to have continued black excellence when we don't have black excellence in our churches, in our communities, in our homes? Man, you have a good one.
You too, my brother. Appreciate you. All right, Ron.
What's going on, G?
I hear you cracking up laughing. I hear you. What's happening with you?
I'm chilling, man. You know, first shouts out to the Fatherhood Roundtable as well as the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. I wasn't going to call till later on, but Eric, formerly known as Mike, compelled me to call. We know that Eric, formerly known as Mike, is a resident of Jefferson Parish. So since he's pointing fingers, let's point some fingers at these city officials in Jefferson Parish, starting with the former sheriff, who used to be sheriff, but he stepped down to be a radio host. Not saying nothing is wrong with being a radio host, but however, the reason why he stepped down is that's what we need to discuss, and how that was swept underneath the rug, how his right-hand person went to jail, and he got off scot-free by going and get a job on the radio host after he resigned. Let's rewind to Chris Roberts, you know, and what happened to him and his untimely so-called suicide when he had put that stuff on Manhattan Boulevard over there that looks like Florida with the Royal Palms and all that kind of other businesses over there. So, I mean, Eric, formerly known as Mike, you know, it's somehow you and your cronies constantly want to bash Orleans Parish but keep Jefferson Parish under secrecy. So monitor the things you say. We're not going to even discuss St. Bernard Parish, how they taking beat brothers and sisters out there and throw them underneath the rugs too. So let's not go there, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure when you come here, you have your stuff together and in order, and not just with some talking points that possibly your former sheriff have given you to call over here with. And I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to get y'all in trouble.
Did you go to any of the events?
Oh, I want to talk about that too. No, I didn't, because if you can rewind about 2 or 3 years ago when Essence started to take this drastic turn like it has done, that's why what's going on right now is going on. How could you have a claim so-called black excellence when you leaving the black part out? One thing I love what Dr. Wyatt be saying is that those people, they want our rhythm, but they don't want to be around when it comes to our blues. And we got to stop allowing people to come into our communities, our cities, et cetera, and disrespect us. Because, number one, it starts from the top, like Brother Cedric was just saying a little while ago. By us not having strong leadership and strong representation, that's why every time when a high-class show or anything comes to the city, the people that's from here are the first ones that's X'd out every time. And then you got the city council and other leaders, so-called leaders, should I say, making excuses on why the locals are not getting treated fair. But we constantly hearing this trickle-down thing. But it's so ironic, nothing ever gets trickled down to our community but the things that helps disparage us even further. Every time it's the same old thing, over and over again. Super Bowl, clean zone. Now these people got to get permits for the whole year, but they don't get no discounts on their permits when they have a so-called clean zone or none of it. They got to pay full price for their permits to be on whatever corner, their respective corner where they want to be at. But then as soon as these big box events come, the people that pay for those local permits are excluded from the whole process.
Mm.
So I mean, man, look, like I always say, it's up to us to do the necessary things that we need to do for our own selves. Because we keep on waiting for the next mayor, the next city councilman, next city councilwoman, the next dog catcher. We're going to be having the same old conversation when that next person get up in there. Because guess what? The system is not broken. The system is fixed. And it's fixed for a certain demographic of people, which is why they're not saying New Orleans no more. They're saying NOLA. Look at the signs, right? Look at the billboards. What you see? Dog parks, bike lanes. Who you think that's for? I'm going to hang up and listen.
It ain't for us.
Period.
It ain't.
And as much as I do not like and respect Derek Shepard, one thing I got to give him. When they was in that meeting after Hurricane America, a.k.a. Katrina, and they want the green space, all that, that brother did stand up and say, we not doing that. And I can't stand him, but I got to give him his props on that part there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Ron.
All right, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Peace.
All right. Mr. Elmore.
Hey, man. Pleasure. How you doing, man? How was your forward?
Good. How's yours?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it wasn't that bad, man, even though I worked later. Look, the thing that really, and this ain't the first time I'm saying this, so the thing that really I don't understand, and I really don't, is when you're looking at the business community, the labor movement, the hotel motel associations, and how they bragging about all the money comes through hotel motels and all the conventions and all the events that New Orleans have. And the people who really do the work, they ain't benefiting. Ain't nobody talking about the regular John Stiff worker that makes a low above minimum wage, and everybody's making a killing off that I call like a slave labor. And I mean, I've never heard no man. Maybe I need to go to one of the forums with the candidates for mayor and just bring it up. Look, man, I ain't putting you on the spot, but I never heard you one time say, and maybe they have, let's look at the hotel motel workers and the people who really makes the money for the city. Why can't they get more than what they're getting? Come on, hotels. Come on, motels. The Sheratons, the Marriotts. I know, look, listen, this is what I don't understand, Gerard. If you got the Marriotts of the world, the Sheratons, the Hiltons, those big three, and they damn near own all subsidiary hotels in the city. If you go to Frisco, New York, Chi-Town, Philly, Detroit, I go on and on. Most of those people, service workers, are union. They belong to the International Service Workers Union.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that these people here so powerful where they're talking a good game, but they're not helping the people who really need to get those wages, man?
So I'm a little different. I'm a little indifferent on this. Well, let me tell you why. Okay. And anybody that's been in marketing, I know Howard Collins, who's online with me, is going to hear me and go, boy, you went the old school route. So one of the things that you find out in this entertainment / media / packaging, that's the number one word that I would say I haven't heard with this group. Packaging. Why? Because the average person that is going to come here is going to find that they're going to spend $1,000 or more for your flight, for your hotel room, for your transportation, for your food, and that doesn't even include your tickets to the concert, okay? So when we first started, and notice what I said, when we first started, because I was involved back in the Morial days and was on that because there was a committee that was formed locally. And the local committee was, hey, instead of doing something and letting everybody go individually, you need to start putting together packages and have a local person here that could sell those packages. That was the people that were doing the packages of culture. That was the Gina Charbonnets. That was the Gina Montanas. And their difference was getting these people here. And what was it was sales. How would you be able to get the people here? And what you offered them was the New Orleans experience. It was inviting them out to see the Indians when they got here. It was inviting them to go on the Charbonnets tour guide through the city, so you could get on the carriage being pulled by the mules. That's the Charbonnets. That's Gina Charbonnet's people. And all these things were brought into the experience. That's why they call it the Essence New Orleans Experience and not just Essence Festival. So you were coming here with a package of stuff that was given to you so that everybody could get a piece. What they did was cut all that out because they got greedy and they wanted all the money. Then we had these national folks that were looking around and not valuing. You already know they're not valuing the African-American experience anywhere, including New Orleans. And the reason why they're not doing it is because the administration that's in place now. So when we got dropped out on the national scene, what Essence made the mistake was they made the mistake and say, I'm going to drop the local scene because I already got the national scene. Then when they dropped the local scene, the national scene was there, and they said bye-bye too. So all of that went away, and you can't go back and make the local scene and say we made a mistake. That's what they did. They made a mistake. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Well, wait. Gerard, excuse me for being dumb. I still haven't heard you get involved in what I just said in terms on the convention, hotel, motel businesses is.
You didn't hear what I
top
said?
In the city, huh?
You didn't hear what I said? So all that goes away without no money. So they were getting ready to make all this money, and then when they didn't make all the money, guess what? All that went away.
But answer this, because I really don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I'm not going to tell you I'm Mr. Know-it-all because I'm not. Why is so that all your major cities in the United States have large Afro-American communities, not maybe as much as New Orleans? The unions can come in and form coalitions with their people, make sure they get competitive wages. In New Orleans, the people are scared to go union. Why is that, man? Are they that stupid, or me, or what? What's going on like that?
Why are they not going union?
I know we have right. I know this is not a union city or state, but the unions have tried many years, man, to come here, and look like the people was kind of. I don't know if they were both intimidated, if you will. I'm sure they were, some of the people who they targeted on the leaders of the movement who was trying to get a union. And once they cut their head off, it was over, man. I mean, it looked like the people was intimidated. Because I've seen it. Because see, I was in the hotel industry before I got into the other businesses I was involved in. But it just baffles me, Gerard, that we're talking about the same thing over and over. And I'm sure they have other activists, the labor movement that said something, and they get so sick and tired of standing out and getting trampled over, and nobody helping them. I mean, because I heard you say that yourself, man. I can repeat what you say because I listen to you quite often to repeat what you say.
Honestly,
I heard you say, you stick out, and nobody's sticking out trying to help you. What you're trying to do is help other people.
All right, so let me answer that part. So the first thing is, the majority of those folks, and I hate to say it this way, the majority of the folks that are coming to be a part of the hotel motel industry ain't us.
You're right. That's true.
All right.
I agree with you.
So that's the number one answer that you should realize. That's not us. What it is that you have those big corporations that are looking for those folks that want to come over to America to live the American dream, get their green card, and then after their time expires, they're supposed to go back. But the hotel motel industry people that are bringing them over here aren't making sure that they go back and say, your time's over with, see you later. And guess what? They're like, shoot, we living over here. We here, we gonna go other places. So that's number one. Number two, The hotel motel unions got to be fair with folks. Don't put me in a job that you know you're going to pay me low wages because I've been in trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Without me going there? So those
Okay,
those are the people that I recruit. So I can pay you low wages because you can't get a job nowhere else because of your history. That's number 2. And then number 3, the hotel motel industry is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. How come you never heard them say anything about it? Okay? So I don't need to say no more?
No, sir. You're
All
safe.
right. Okay. Let me leave it there before I get in trouble too. But I gotta take my
No,
break.
you're not.
Yeah, I get in trouble because if I do say it, I get in trouble. So let me take
All
my
right,
break.
brother.
All right. Appreciate you much. I'll talk to you
All
later,
right, brother.
Mr.
Thank
Elmo.
you, man. Thank you.
All right. More coming up, y'all. Let's take a break.
Hoops, Heat, The Truth, on demand. Ball Don't Lie is now live on all podcast platforms. Tap in, search WBOK Media, find Ball Don't Lie, and bring the fire with you wherever you go. Download, share, and leave that 5-star review because the game doesn't stop when the show ends.
Get ready, New Orleans. Join us for the inaugural Bless 26 Golf Classic, July 5th at Joe Bartholomew Golf Course, 6514 Congress Drive. It's a 4-man scramble format with a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Enjoy great food, music, and a chance to win a brand new car. Register now at bless26.ticketspice.com. Save the date, Saturday, July 5th for the Bless 26 Golf Classic at Joe Bartholomew Golf Course. For more information, please call 504-284-9985. See ya on the green.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Uptown, downtown. Wherever you are, keep it locked in to WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks. My number 504-582-9422. Your experience. How was your experience? How was your experience? 4th of July. Did you come to New Orleans, or in New Orleans, did you do Essence? I have not heard this many complaints about Essence in a while. I mean, I think the only time I even heard this many complaints was when one of the artists didn't show up, and that was many years ago. And then something happened with not Erykah Badu, but Lauryn Hill, where she didn't get on until an hour and a half late, but they're saying it wasn't her fault. I'm not certain on what that is. I think that it hit national news this morning, but I didn't catch the ins and outs of it. I'll definitely go back. But a lot of folks were mad because, honestly, that's your MO. So if something happened, I understand. But you've been late for concerts forever and a day, and that's your MO. So people were thinking more of whether you are doing it on purpose or not. That's just your MO. So you didn't get off stage until 3:29 in the morning. And you were the only one on stage because the Superdome at that time was empty.
Yo, everybody left and went to Anita's to get that grits and liver.
Because Anita's is open now, isn't it?
Well, as I know it is.
Yeah. So one of the things I said I was going to do, because it threw me. So I guess I'm one of the old heads. Am I one of the old heads now? I'm one of the old heads now.
We are in that category.
We are?
Yeah.
The excitement of seeing an artist that you hear, knowing the demographic, of the people that are coming to New Orleans for a good time. This issue of New Orleans, you got to understand. And locals understand it better than the nationals or folks that ain't from here. I got to tell you, I'm one of them. But a lot of folks consider me as being a part of New Orleans now because I've been here for so long. And I got to tell you, I appreciate that every single day. But when I first got here, I didn't understand what the hell was going on because New Orleans has its own rhythm, it has its own rhyme, and it has its own way about doing different things. This is the only place that you can find every Monday somebody know that you got to have some red beans and rice.
Boy, you were green as hell when you first got here.
I was Green Lantern green. I was Green Lantern green. And as the time came, I wanted to learn more, so I specifically made sure that I was learning the culture of New Orleans, understanding who the Mardi Gras Indians are, understanding what's going on, understanding that folks have different wards that they're from, understanding that folks are going to ask you, when they ask you what school you went to, they're not talking about your college. They're talking about your high school. That is how you were identified, where you went to. And how you look could also make you be identified. Because folks look at you and say, you went to St. Aug, huh? They ain't asking. They asking, but they trying to make a statement to say, yeah, you got that look. You went to St. I've been asked that so many times, bro. I started saying, yeah.
In other words, they're trying to call you pretty boy.
No, they can't call me yellow.
Pretty boy. Trust me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you weren't in Pretty Boys. You go to St. Aug, huh?
Really?
I used to hate that.
I never heard. No one's ever said that
yeah.
to me. No, nobody's ever said that to me. And, you know, if they did say it, and then, you know, shoot, when I first moved here, learning that when I went to this club, and you know what club I'm talking about, when I went to a club,
Whispers.
And then they looked, no, it wasn't Whispers. I went to what's that, off of St. Bernard. And they were telling me, like, oh, they let you in? Well, you can pass the...
Oh, you talking about the autocrat.
You can pass the paper bag test. I'm like, the what? The paper bag test. You know who took me over there? When I first got here, I came up to Q93 when it was on the Tidewater building.
Are you talking about Jeff?
Jeff Trepanier. Jeff Trepanier said, man, get in the car. Jeff Trepanier had Jeff Trepanier had a drop-top Cadillac convertible. The big boy.
The Eldorado.
And he was so proud of that thing, man, bro. We were riding down Canal Street. And he said, I'm going to take you out here to this club. We're going to go in and say hello to the DJs and da-da-da. He said, don't worry, you're all right.
I'm surprised he ain't had the Superfly kit on it.
And I was sitting back and going, where are we going? He said, we're going to go to the Autocrat. And they were having a party up in there. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then Jeff was talking to the guy. He said, yeah, all right, he can get in. I said, why couldn't I get in, Jeff? He said, paper bag test. So you got to imagine, I'm looking around and going, paper bag? What, I'm supposed to wear a paper bag? I didn't know what the hell was going on. He said, no, you can't be darker than a paper bag. That was offensive to me. So I was like, dude, I'm ready to go. I don't want to be here. How our own people going to be prejudiced against their own people.
Man, that paper bag test went out years ago.
I don't know. Reverend Kasner. Rev?
Hello?
Hey,
what's
you
up,
say?
my brother?
What's going on with you?
I can't make no noise. Enjoying the show, and of course, you guess the most knowledgeable. And everybody was sacking on what they were saying about this city. And the question, I heard Aaron, like you call him, Great House. And see what comes to my mind? Who the hell negotiating on behalf of the city? And see, he mentioned during Mark Morial's time. And I'm looking at today. Who's in there talking the essence about the needs of New Orleans citizens and how we fit in this scenario? And when I say that, I think about the fact, everything is convention center bound and Superdome bound, but there were a lot of blacks that were left out that they brought their business to New Orleans East and tried to get the word out. Since we're not in essence, come see us over here or come see us over there. When I say who negotiated on our behalf, when you look at the advertisement that went out about this, what that is, Essence Festival, it didn't include us at all. I couldn't be a councilman or a mayor and don't speak up for my city and the needs of my people. Seems we just go along to get along. As far as I'm concerned, Essence could take that show, if you want to call it a show, take it up the street to Houston. Let them dog y'all out. Because all you talk about is our culture and how wonderful the citizens are, and truly we are. But at the same time, we get nothing out the deal except a lot of traffic, little or no business, and a leadership that ain't worth a quarter, that ain't speaking up for the people. I'm going to leave it there, Doc. I'm going to holler at you a little later.
All right, my brother. Always let me know what's going on with you, Rev. You one of our leaders here.
Yeah, I'm one of them old heads. All right, my brother.
I'm old head, too, so that make both of us. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Always good.
Later.
Thank you. All right, tell you what we'll do. We'll get ready. So I don't know if I told everybody this, but I'm going to make sure that I tell you now. I'm not just making blank statements on an Essence Festival that I think is good for our city. I'm making statements about what it used to be and did a comparison. And as a citizen, not as a radio host, not as a talk show host, but as a citizen of what I used to see compared to what I do see now. And it might be an issue of money. It might be an issue of support. It might be an issue of sponsorship. But what's coming back to us, there's a lot of the sponsors pulled out anyway. Now, the other part of this I need to say is that instead of just making blank statements, I want to involve the folks that I know that are local, that were a part and have been a part of this Essence Festival for a long, long time, 20 years plus. So since I know them, I started picking up the phone and calling folks saying, hey, it's time for you to speak up. What the hell? Because this crap that we just had here was a blankety, blankety, blank, blank, blank. So I need to know what's going. So she said, okay, I'll be ready today to talk to you. Coming up after news, our very own Gina Montana, the Queen, is coming up. She's going to tell us what's going on. More next. Get your radio together next, right here on WBOK.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Maryland leaders say they're heartbroken over the Texas flooding that has killed more than 90 people. Black Governor Wes Moore says he and First Lady Dawn are praying for the families impacted, including those with missing loved ones. Congresswoman April McClain Delaney thanked first responders and says she will support emergency services and FEMA resources for the ongoing recovery efforts. Young Noble, a member of Tupac's group Outlaws, has died at 47 from an apparent suicide in Atlanta. Outlaws member Edie Amin confirmed the news on Instagram, writing, quote, "Rest in power, Rufus Young Noble Cooper," end quote. And The Weeknd and Drake are among the top artists on Apple Music's Top 500 Streamed Songs list, celebrating the platform's 10th anniversary. The Weeknd's Blinding Lights ranked at number 2, while Drake's God's Plan took 3rd. Drake also led with the most songs on the list, landing 27 entries. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The Reality Check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. My number 504-582-9422. I haven't gotten the telephone number.
Boy, you still discombobulated from those plates?
That was a brain fart. That was just a brain fart.
Or you hearing that thunder outside?
I didn't hear it.
You didn't hear that?
I did not.
Oh, yeah. Thunder boomers are coming.
Again?
Again.
We just had some, whatchamacallits not too long ago. But anyway. Our number, 504-582-9422. When I start speaking about issues that I think are important for us to talk about, I want us to make sure that we get it and get it straight and get it right, instead of just sitting and throwing stuff out here up against the wall, seeing if it stick. I want to make sure that we talk to the folks that we know that were involved, have been involved, and know what New Orleans is looking for. Joining us right now, we call her the Queen. She is the Queen. Miss Gina Montana's on the phone with us. How you doing, Queen?
Peace and blessings. Good afternoon. Thank you.
You kind of have been around for a minute. I ain't gonna tell you part of the old folks here, the old folks club. I ain't gonna tell you that because I never say that. But you've been around Essence for how long?
Oh, since the very beginning, the very first day, 1995, and I worked at the festival for over 28 years.
So let me ask you this. When you thought about, when they involved you and you being a part of this, signed a contract and said, okay, bring your experience, give me some insight on your presentation to them to say, oh, my, we got to have you to put this production together. What was that looking like, and what has it been over, maybe how it manifested over the years?
Well, I had a very unique experience because since I worked at the festival since its inception in 1995, I started working with Festival Productions, Inc., also known as FPI, which is the parent company that produces the Jazz Fest. I was a member of Quint Davis's core team, and at that time I was also working at the Jazz Fest, so I did want to amplify. I was working 2 festivals simultaneously up until 2003. But over the years, as you know, Essence really have evolved in the companies that they work with here in the local community. So after the Jazz Fest team, I worked with Ray Hodge Entertainment, which is the company that produces the Voodoo Music and Art Festival in City Park. So like around 2008, that's when my position evolved into an independent contractor. I had formed my LLC, Montana Productions LLC, and I began to contract directly with Essence Communications. Mm-hmm. So it, over the decades, my work evolved into being a small business owner, producer, director of the Essence Marketplace, with the foundation of having worked with local New Orleans production companies for all those years.
So this is not something that you just said, oh, good, I'm new to this, da-da-da-da. This is something that you've been working on for a number of years before you said, let me put my own company together and put together this type of production.
Right, a very long time, and that was a blessing. And from a professional perspective, is that even in those early days when I worked for other companies, those leadership teams, the producers, the directors, they delegated leadership. They delegated leadership to the team members themselves. So I was the director of the Essence Marketplace from the very beginning. I want to back up. The first year I was an administrator. Mm-hmm. So by second, third year, and I'm talking about 1996, 97, I was in the director position for the Essence Marketplace, what some people would say the vendors marketplace. And Essence did recently rebrand their own Essence Marketplace to SoCo, is what it's now called.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, even in those early days, the leadership teams, they delegated leadership to the department heads. So I had a lot of creative leeway, even when I did not have my own small business, to create content and develop the Essence Marketplace experience.
Let's talk about that for a minute. I'm not trying to get all your secrets here, so share with me what you can. But when we start talking about the marketplace, tell me, what was your mindset? Okay, we're going to develop this new thing with Essence, but it's going to be the marketplace. What evolved? What was there that evolved? Was this the vendors? Was this the content in itself? What did you put together?
That was the heartbeat of my approach to producing the Essence Marketplace. The first thing was that I wanted to make sure that it was an original marketplace experience, that I was not copying or duplicating something else that either I had worked on, say, for example, Congo Square at Jazz Fest, that the Essence Marketplace would be a one-of-a-kind, unique, and original venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed this product working with those various teams, and then more recently with Essence, the New York executive team. So it was that it would be something that had never been done before, featuring Black art in America. The original criteria for vendors who were accepted into the show was that they had to design and create their own original work. So it was just a really dynamic presentation of artisans, inventors, jewelry designers, fashion designers, painters, fine art, fine craft from all over America, but also always highlighting local New Orleans and state of Louisiana artists and small business owners. That it was original.
Something else too that I thought was very creative, and I saw I think the extent of it at Essence in the marketplace was you invited a whole bunch of Black writers that had books that they needed to get out to come in. Have their own place, come in, sign books, take pictures with folks, not only those that were starting up, but some of the best writers that I've seen across America.
Well, the books and the book presentations that I coordinated were primarily Celebrity Zone type of artists. Like, for example, Beyonce's mom, Beyonce and Solange mom, Miss Tina Knowles, she brought her book to the Essence Marketplace. But some of those other author signings and book sales, especially in the early days, I know for a fact was coordinated and produced by Vera Warren Williams in the Community Book Center.
Right.
Vera and Mama Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
But for the book signings that you saw in the Essence Marketplace, I call it my zone, the areas I was responsible for managing, those were primarily celebrity authors.
Let me kind of get to, and I don't know if I'm skipping over here, so whatever you want to talk about that I don't ask, please be invited to bring it up, because I don't know everything. And I want to let everybody know, you and I have not had this conversation yet. We have not went through the previews of anything. I just wanted to see, because everybody was telling me, I was like, what happened this year? And I was like, come on, where Gina and them at? They were like, she not there no more. Is that true?
That is true. And it was...
was it a surprise to you?
More than a surprise.
Wow.
It was very difficult to say, after all of those years, that Essence just casually dismissed me in my work.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very, very rough for me. That was my livelihood, my professional career. It was like an artist, a painter. You have a body of work. You made your original paintings. You signed your name on your original paintings, and someone else comes along and says, I own this. Not only do they erase your name as the original creator of it, but they signed their own name to it and rebrand it. So I want to just circle back a little bit on the separation part.
Please do.
That occurred in March
of this year.
March of 2023. It's been 2 years, a little bit over 2 years for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm a person that I maintain my business. I manage my business offline. This is my first interview with a journalist. I did post something in January on my social media, January of this year. But my separation occurred over a Zoom call, and it was a pretty horrific experience for me. I don't want to diminish how rough that is to just have everything you devoted your professional career for over a quarter of a century. I'm telling on my age. And just have it demolished on a Zoom call with nothing, like no reason other than it was out with the old and with the new. I don't know. Only Essence can respond to that. But I was told that, I'm just a vendor. I was a work for hire, and legally they could dismiss me because of the contract I signed. Now, my contract is confidential, even with the dismissal. It is a confidential legal agreement between me and Essence, although it was not renewed.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say this. In February of 2023, I was on a Zoom call with Essence executives. It was like business as usual. Usually we would go like, what worked, what didn't work, what we want to do differently for the 2023 festival. That was February. Well, then we said, okay, we're going to come back to you 1 month later, March of 2023. And I was even asked on that February call if I would take over management of a stage. I had always requested a marketplace stage for many years. I never did get that budget approved.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, of course, I would love to manage a stage in the marketplace. But the call in March, I was told that someone else, a company from Atlanta, had the contract to manage the Essence Marketplace, which comprises almost 300 booths, like a 10 by 10 footprint, and about 250, I would say, close to 300, because the numbers would change as you get closer to the opening dates. That a company from Atlanta received my contract for the indoor venue inside the convention center, the iconic Essence Marketplace, and they told me the only way I could continue working was if I went and worked 30 booths in the parking lot.
What?
It wasn't just I'm trying to be. I'm gonna say I'm old school, chill and copacetic on this interview. I know I'm being broadcast on the radio, but I'm telling you, when they said that, I'm like, not after all of that work, and then you're gonna just give someone else all of the work I created, what I built. So they said, you built it, but you don't own it. We own it. Okay, so I was like, I'm not going to work in no parking lot, and I did make a recommendation. My daughter has really just grown as a young professional, working with our family-owned and operated business, Montana Productions, LLC. She had established her own LLC. She was working as an executive assistant to one of the top CEOs in the city. And I recommended, I told Essence, I'm like, there is no way I'm not taking that level of work. And it was so demeaning and disrespectful. Plus, I really feel it was unfair, and I didn't have a legal course of action because of the contract I signed. But my daughter only did that outdoor venue for 1 year, and it was brutal. It was like it was 120 degrees,
right,
and the heat index that year was like 110 or something. So it was not by choice that I'm no longer working in my historic job as the producer director of Essence Marketplace.
So am I wrong in assuming what I heard you say? I want to go back to you said that there has not been another journalist to interview you about this?
No, I didn't. I decided not to speak publicly about it. I tried to resolve it through seeking legal counsel and communicating with Essence, and they would not give me any option other than what I just told you. Go work in the parking lot, which I almost thought was like, is this like a psychological warfare? Like, like you telling me after all these years and this other person gets to just walk in and everything is in place. They rebranded it to SoCo, but it's still all of the methods, the processes, the application, the online portals. So much of what I contributed to that experience is what they're still generating revenue. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get into that, the amount of revenue that my work that I would generate for the Essence company, but it was complex, a lot of layers, and I wish I had someone to guide me and help me through that process. If I could real quickly give you an explanation of how the marketplace evolved, because when I first started, it was primarily fine art, fine craft, artisans booths. Then I took on around 2008 managing and directing the community outreach, nonprofits, local Louisiana, but national nonprofits as well. Like when Reverend Al Booth would come in town, National Action Network, or even the National Democrat Committee, and then also a lot of state of Louisiana and New Orleans nonprofits. So I had the marketplace, community, then Essence added on the beauty marketplace. So I started managing the beauty zone as well as sponsorship booths. Like when major retailers might want 20 booths in the marketplace, I had to take that on, plus the celebrity zone. So like if Chaka Khan wanted a booth to sell her merchandise, Montana Productions managed those level of vendor booths, which, to say that's on a high level, like Charlie Wilson was a regular vendor in my marketplace, and many, many other artists.
A lot of these things were missing, have been missing for the last couple of years. I know it was missing this year. I saw a lot of and heard of a lot of the vendors have pulled out, did not. One of the things I heard is that they went to be there and then ended up before the event started pulling out. Are you aware of that?
I'm very aware of it. Yes.
Why? Why are they pulling out?
Well, I know in the 2022, I only worked one festival post-COVID, post the pandemic, which tore all of us up. That was just, so I did the 2022. So in the 2023 festival, that's when the vendors started opting out. There were some vendors I spoke to, and I say vendors in the language that is published mostly, but these are artisans, business owners, mom and pops, people who have dedicated their life to building their small business brands. They're so much more than vendors. But those entities, those people, those individuals were contacting me saying they showed up at the convention center. For example, they had paid for a double booth. They only had a single, and that means like I paid for a 10 by 20 foot footprint on the convention center floor. Either there was no booth available or only a 10 by 10. So there were artists and vendors opting out for multiple reasons. And I have had quite a few who told me personally that if Essence had no longer involved Montana Productions, they wasn't doing the festival anymore.
And that speaks loudly on who you are and what your company is. That speaks loudly.
Yes.
And I mean that too, because I was totally. I heard you. I saw you somewhere. I don't know where it was, and I'm sorry, but I ran up to you like a groupie, and I said, "Gina, I need to interview." And you looked at me, you smiled, but because you couldn't say anything at the time. But I need to know where you are, because it was getting around that they were not involving you in the marketplace again. And I was like, okay. Now, here's the other part. The Solomon Group. What is your responsibility with them, and what responsibility are they giving to you? Because the Solomon Group, I didn't see really had any of our culture involved in decision making.
Yeah, you asking these very awesome, brilliant questions. Thank you. The Solomon Group, I have had minimal direct interaction with them in comparison to working with Quinn Davis's team or even and with Stephen Ray Hodge and Ray Hodge Entertainment. I work more directly with those producers and those local companies. Now with Solomon Group, they had their own staffing, and the Solomon Group team, there is one manager, and he may even be like a executive producer. I don't want to say his job title incorrectly, but Steve Fink was my contact at the convention center, and the work would be mostly like getting the CADs, the floor plan and the site plan, the booth layouts, or talking through vendor credentials. But I don't have a lot to say about Solomon Group because it was minimal as far as my direct interaction. I know they did a lot of production over at the Superdome, and the Solomon Group team was managing the convention center, a lot of the floor plan and things like that, but I didn't work directly with them at all.
Are they black?
Not that I know of. I don't normally identify the company.
This is a black experience. That's
yeah.
why.
I think I do know this. Gary Solomon is the owner of the Solomon Group, and if his family is from Louisiana or if he has international family roots, but I would say talk to Gary Solomon or Steve Fink, and they can give you like the demographics of their company. It's not easy for me to speak out on other people's business,
right?
But that might be your next, maybe a next best step to get some clarity on what's going on.
You got a few more minutes? I don't want to take all your day. But I got to take a break here. But you got a few more minutes because I really want you to get your piece out on this. You got a few more minutes?
You.
Okay.
I will hold on.
Hold on. All right. We got more coming up, y'all. We are having conversation with the queen herself, Miss Gina Montana. More coming up, y'all.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Clutch Sports founder and CEO Rich Paul is a sports super agent, and now, through Masterclass, he wants to share the keys to his success. Masterclass is a subscription-based online learning series featuring world-renowned experts, celebrities, and industry leaders. For Rich Paul, he wants to make sure his Masterclass isn't focused too narrowly on just sports.
I wanted to make sure that I found a balance and not just talking about what happens in the business of sports, because everyone isn't in that business, but giving people what I would say would be a very relatable and understandable perspective on how to evolve.
Paul learned how to negotiate watching his father. In his masterclass, he hopes to pass along some of the same skills that turned him into one of the most successful and well-known agents. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
New Orleans, are you ready for a voice that says what you're thinking? Who that, you might ask? Arrington Gavin. That's right, I'm your guy, host of the Arrington Gavin Show, giving you so much filled with bold opinions, real conversations, and zero sugarcoating. We're going to be diving into the issues that matter: politics, pop culture, and all the above, unfiltered and unafraid. Catch the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Fridays, right here on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the whole water stove, Pastor David Impartian Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Gerard Stevens with you until 6. Make sure that you are listening, because we got a whole bunch of stuff we got to talk about. A lot of folks just getting past the 4th of July in New Orleans, the Essence Music Festival, and a lot of folks saying different things about the concerts as well as the event they saw happening over at the convention center. Joining us now on the phone with us, just in case you missed any of it, she is back with us for a few more minutes. Miss Gina Montana, the queen herself. Gina, you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
One of the things I did look up was the meaning of culture, and it encompasses the shared behaviors, beliefs, values, material objects, and characterizes a particular group and are passed down through generations. And then it says this, the same thing that you said, even though that I know that you didn't go to the same AI overview that I did, but it says it's complex. And that's one of the things that you just brought to the table by stating, hey, the marketplace, it's not just something, it's complex. And you're explaining all of these complexities that you would go through year by year and what you presented. And my question to you, and then I'm going to leave you alone so you can tell me everything that you need to tell me. How does somebody tell you, of all folks, the culture of New Orleans, and they may not even be from here?
Yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons I was able to continue working there for the 28 years. Being firmly rooted with branches, with legacy, the history. You know, I'm Tootie, Big Chief Tootie Montana's queen. Tootie's my cousin, my father's first cousin, but I'm the historic big queen of the Yellow Pocahontas. And from day one, I featured the Mardi Gras Indians as works of art. Chief Tootie curated his own installation in the Superdome the first year. The convention center wasn't even a part of the venue. So I think that I know that for many, many years, Essence and even some of the other festival production teams, I worked as a consultant also. Like to say, maintaining the integrity of New Orleans culture at the festival.
You were that guard watcher.
Right. So you're saying, how could they tell me? I was telling them. I say this with a humble spirit. I had Louisiana folk life artisans doing like live art demonstrations from quilt making to wood carving, Of course, the Black Masking Indians, the Mardi Gras Indians, were on exhibit as art for many years. The Zulu, I work with Mr. Clarence Becknell, who is the historian emeritus with Zulu. He would bring in the Zulu costumes and their history and the installation there. The Backstreet Cultural Museum, Mr. Sylvester Francis would bring in his exhibit at the marketplace. Tambourine and fan, I work with Noonie Man and Mr. Jerome, Big Duck. They would bring the tambourine and fan booth. So New Orleans culture is sacred. You know, I mask, I sew, and I mask. I sew the beadwork and I mask. And with all of the business of working with a major corporate entity like Essence Communications, I always kept New Orleans business owners, the nonprofits, the cultural artists on the front line. We are the vanguard.
Yeah.
And Essence is a national, worldwide, global communications company, and they're holding this festival in our great city, New Orleans. So, and like I said, and I would also go into state of Louisiana as well. If I could find some artists from out of Alexandria or Thibodeau, you know, I'm like, we have to make sure that our people, our culture are represented front and center stage at an event like an Essence Festival. Even the food vendors. I looked at more recently, there are out of state, out of town food vendors selling food at the convention center, when in the early days, only local New Orleans or state of Louisiana restaurants and food vendors were allowed.
I was in the back of by the loading dock. That's the way that, you know, when you are with somebody that's important, you don't come through the front door. They drive you around to the back. You come in through the loading dock. So one of the things I did see that I wanted to ask you about was the norm, because I can remember one of my friends telling me that she had a contract to do food. She did her food, but it wasn't this year. It was a year before, but she ran out. So she had to leave and go pick up more food and bring it back. But what disturbed me this year was folks were out in the parking lot in the back of the port and on the deck cooking. Is that normal?
I don't know that part of the logistics. I know the convention center has certain rules on creating temporary kitchens, and that the fire marshal and that there are also Department of Health and Safety for food safety and food handling codes. That is not my area of expertise on what are the requirements, like were there refrigerated trucks back there to make sure all the food is kept at a safe temperature, things like that. So that would be someone who managed those food booths. But my point was that I heard that there are out-of-town food vendors coming and taking up that booth space that may have previously been a food vendor booth awarded to a New Orleans business.
So are we losing? I can tell you this. Well, one of your folks that I know that you know very well, too, I spoke to Gina Charbonnet as well. And I said, Gina, what's going on over there? And Gina sent me back an official statement because she was saying, hey, I just want you to know that my production company is no longer associated with Essence. So she's gone. She's not there either.
That is shocking. That is just unbelievable.
And I always knew you and I always knew Gina Charbonnet were part of this. And she said, yes, I just need you to know that my company is no longer associated with Essence as well. I'm like, damn. Well, who do we have locally that's doing the production to bring Essence culture, New Orleans culture to Essence? Who's doing it?
Right. That's what we're all trying to figure out, Gerard. And I've heard that from several other companies that are owned by Black women from New Orleans who have been ousted, or for me, I say ousted. I don't want to speak for nobody else, but I would say their contracts were not renewed. The sister who had the contract for catering, the Star Suites talent at the Superdome, there was another small business owner presented a check like informational, educational technology experience at the convention center. Other small business owners, the community book center was a pioneer. The godmother, Vera, was the queen of the book.
Vera not involved? Vera Warren?
You have to, like I said, let Vera speak on that, but that was a long time ago when they canceled Vera. But for me, as the marketplace producer director, I'm looking at companies that are coming from New York, Atlanta. Some are owned by white men doing the work when Essence is bypassing, overlooking the wealth of talent, skilled professionals here in our city. And after 28 years, you figure like, well, they would at least acknowledge my work. I didn't even get a thank you.
Wow.
Let alone compensation or separation agreement, severance, nothing, zero. After dedicating my entire professional career, maybe I put too many eggs in the basket working at Essence Festival, but that's my beloved Essence Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And for many of us, not just in New Orleans and Louisiana, all over the country,
yeah, you created
we
a
were
brand.
just convening here to celebrate our people and Black culture in America.
Yeah, you created a brand. This was not just being a part of Essence. You created a brand for New Orleans, and everybody knew that, this is Gina Montana's work. I made a point every year that I would go over, that I'd be like, where Gina Montana, where this stage at, where this part at, where these people at, just to make sure that I not only celebrated you, but also went over there to support. And
thank you.
To hear that, that's when I heard it. I was like, that ain't true. And that's when I came up to you. I was like, I need to know. And yeah, it's true. But what's next? What do you do? Because your mind and the talent that you bring to the table and the clout that you bring to the table, I'm going to just say this to you. Maybe this will make you stick your chest out and hold your head up high. I don't know what kind of conversation this is going to be. But I do think that what you bring to the table, Gina, is something that they missed out, not you. You don't let this get you down. So I'm trying to figure out what's next. What do you do? Because there are too many other opportunities that your company, the folks that you know, can bring that Essence type of festival to New Orleans that people can enjoy. What's next?
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm working on developing some ideas, to launch or produce my own festival. It has been a huge financial blow to lose a contract that was not just my own salary, but for the team of event professionals. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure it out. The Essence Marketplace and community was a huge attraction at the convention center. Like you'll say, a performing artist is the main attraction, but without anybody, say, singing or performing in a band, that marketplace in of itself was an attraction. People would visit there to get their once-a-year painting or their favorite earrings. So trying to figure out how do I evolve into my next rebirth, I should say. Like, do I have to start all over at this point in my professional career? I'm still working on that. I really am.
Well, what about the city? Has the city said, we need to meet with you, we need to talk with you? Because this is a blow to many people that may even be hearing this for the first time, because I don't think a lot of folks, the majority of folks that are listening right now didn't know about the, who's in the background, what's in the background, the people that were involved, the people that were hired by your company as well, that are no longer going to be employed to do these types of jobs. So I'm thinking, hey, wait a minute. Don't we have a cultural division of the city at City Hall? Have they said, let's meet?
I would love to meet with the city. I have not heard from anyone from the city about Essence canceling Montana Productions. And I have always been a behind-the-scenes producer that, it was all about the artists, the vendors who came in and participated every year and putting the spotlight on those people. You know, like I'm working and I'm kind of trying to be the quarterback and administrator and the on-site ops and logistics and you know, but I also had a wonderful team of professionals, William Gray, my daughter, many others who would come out every year and help manage the marketplace. But it's like you said, it's also about those vendors who were no longer approved for their booth. Essence would not even approve their application. Some who did not miss a year, like myself. I was the only team member from the original production team who worked the first event in 1995. I made it up to 2022 without missing a day, without missing a year, including the year 2006. We had to relocate to Houston because of Hurricane Katrina. So, but like I said, it's always been like, it's not just about me and my work, Gerard. It's about all those hundreds, maybe even thousands over almost 30 years of artists and vendors who are no longer have access to what is a huge economic opportunity for their business in art galleries as well.
I just got a message from Gina Charbonnet stating that she is going to submit she's getting ready to submit a statement as well. She's out of town, but she's doing it as well to make sure that we get it. So evidently this conversation that you're having now is getting around because you can hear all the ding dongs going on. That's my text message that folks are saying.
I would love to hear from Gina Charbonnet. We worked together as a team and for many years working at the convention center.
Absolutely. So I'm not going to hold you a long time. I do need to let you know that I did write because I don't know if you saw it. There's an article that was written by Will. He wrote this article, and it is being published in NOLA.com.
I did see that by Will Sutton.
Yep.
And I shared on my Facebook page an article that was written by Essence that said, and published on Essence website that said that they themselves have acknowledged they are missing $70 million of missed economic opportunities to the New Orleans community, meaning $70 million of contracts that are going to businesses outside of the state, outside of New Orleans, that could be better serviced by being awarded to businesses here in New Orleans.
So since Will Sutton did write that article, I told him, I said, I need you to know that I wrote, and I'm telling you this for the first time as well, I wrote a commentary. And I'm going to get ready to read it in just a minute before I go off the air. So
okay, thank you so much for this interview. I listened to your commentary.
I just need you to be there when they call you and say, we need to fix this, come on back. Would you go back?
I'm not too sure. I'll be honest. I would love to be paid for my work.
Right. I ain't saying that not get paid. I said go back.
There is a lot of value, I think, that was not covered in that contract agreement, which is confidential between Essence and Montana Productions.
Well, what about a new festival put on by Gina Montana Productions?
I would love to do that. I have a great idea for a festival I tried to launch over 10 years ago.
Well,
but like I said, sponsorship, funding, fundraising. My job at Essence was my livelihood, and I'm struggling. I'm not going to sit here and try to sugarcoat that part.
I need a production company to help me put together this Teen Summit back again.
I'm reachable. My website is MontanaProductionsLLC.com.
I already know what you can do, so that's why I'm just throwing it. I'm just throwing that up. But listen, keep your head up. Don't let nobody get you down. I know you're doing the job. I know you're doing it well. And what's taken away from it comes back to you in sevenfold? So you got that coming.
Very awesome. I received that abundantly. Thank you, Gerard.
I appreciate you much. Thank you for the time here.
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Peace. Bye-bye.
That is Gina Montana from Montana Productions. Now you know. So I made sure that before I go, I told Will Sutton that I was going to do this today as well, that I was going to bring to the table my commentary, which I wrote, and I want everybody to hear it. We're going to take the break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to read this commentary to you. All right? Everybody hold tight. We got more coming. And we'll take some telephone calls at 504-582-9422. More coming up next.
AURN News.
It was meant to be a summer of sisterhood, but turned into a scene of devastation. Camp Mystic, an all-girls summer camp in Texas, says it's grieving the loss of 27 campers and staff after deadly flash floods ripped through the hill country over the 4th of July weekend. The storm hit like a sledgehammer, rising waters swallowing cabins, snapping trees, and washing entire structures downstream. Survivors described clinging to ropes in waist-high water, while others were rescued from attics and treetops. So far, more than 80 lives have been lost statewide, including nearly 30 children. The death toll is expected to rise, with dozens still missing. As families sift through debris, some are asking tough questions. Were the warning signs enough? Was it preventable? President Trump declared the area a disaster zone. He says he'll visit Friday, but also hinted at downsizing FEMA even after meteorologists were cut earlier this year. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Well, it's about time. A long overdue law against talking on a handheld cell phone while driving was just signed into law by Governor Jeff Landry. The law becomes effective on August 1st, and hopefully this will help put the brakes on distracted driving. Now, I know you've all had the experience of driving behind a driver on a cell phone, weaving in and out of their lane, motoring along at a snail's pace. And sure enough, if you're lucky enough to pass by them without ending up in a collision, you'll find them casually talking, texting, or reading messages on their cell phone. The National Highway Commission attributes distracted driving as the cause of thousands of roadway accidents over the years. For instance, in 2021, according to the National Highway and Transportation Administration, 19.5% of all fatal crashes were due to distracted driving, double the national average. 12% of those fatalities resulted from handheld cell phones. As of August 1st, folks, in Louisiana, if you're caught driving while using a handheld cell phone for calls, texting, or anything else, you'll get a warning. In just a few months, it's going to cost you. Violations of the new phone ban can result in fines up to $100 or $250 if you're in a school or construction zone. However, the fines won't take effect until January next year. Until then, you'll just get a warning. By the way, the law doesn't apply to talking on your handheld device while your car or truck is parked, or if you're at a red light. Otherwise, you'll have to use your hands-free system to talk during your travels on the road. Hopefully, this new law will significantly reduce the number of serious accidents and perhaps even help reduce our outrageous car insurance rates. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Plan on flying? It's time to upgrade to a Real ID. Because in order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a Real ID, or you'll need another acceptable form of identification. So don't wait. Find out how to get your Real ID at tsa.gov/Real ID. That's tsa.gov/Real ID, or visit your local DMV. And then you'll be cleared for takeoff.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Andronica Morris, host of Put Housing First. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will discuss how housing affects every aspect of our lives and what's necessary, what's needed to guarantee housing for all. Join us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock as we dig down deep onto the issues that affect all of us.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Cowell Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
If someone asks,
Yeah!
let them know you listen to WBOK.
Here we go!
The Reality Check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks. A few more minutes before we get out of here. But I want to make sure that we have this conversation. I can appreciate all the work that has been done by our good friend and our co-host of the morning show, Will Sutton, with NOLA.com and The Advocate. I don't know if you got a chance to read the article, but if you do, make sure you go and hit Will Sutton up so that you can see the article that he wrote. From that, I automatically went typing on my computer like I'm a commentary man. I'm not. But I had the opportunity to read your comments on the Essence Music Festival in New Orleans on the 4th of July weekend. The entire weekend was a ball of confusion with many opportunities to get the flavor and value of New Orleans being lost. There was intentional disrespect of people that helped build the foundation this festival stands on. It is apparent the owners of Essence don't understand the connection that Gina Montana and Gina Charbonnet have with the soul of New Orleans. They live to present the culture of New Orleans to the world, and you drop them with their production companies after 25 or more years for stale, stagnant presentations that can be seen anywhere. It was said that big corporate businesses did not commit or pulled out of sponsorship of the festival this year. And I think we as consumers should know what businesses we are talking about and maybe need to pull our dollars away from their purchasing of their products on a nationwide basis. With the economic scare most black people may be facing, some people are afraid to commit hundreds of thousands of dollars in advance with a possible economic downturn. That's why the festival has to do a better job in organizing and presenting to airlines, rental cars, hotel organizations, and putting together travel packages a year to 6 months in advance. An investment in advertising would also really help. I was stunned by the small number of radio stations broadcasting live this year. It would be a big plus if Essence could do like Disney's, barter agreements with stations so different parts of the world could hear the broadcasting from Radio Row. Leadership in New Orleans has done nothing to involve the black experience of locals. Most seminars were hosted by out-of-towners and had national topics. With an election on the way, economic issues, and bringing ideas to the table, you would think there would have been a job fair by national as well as local companies and government. I left it at that because I could go on and on and on and on, but I left it at that. That's it. I hope that if it wasn't offensive, that at least you got what I was saying, especially the leaders in New Orleans. We also have to do a better job. What makes us want to go to this thing, what makes us don't just go to be going, go for the experience. But if it doesn't involve you, aren't you tired of being a pawn in a game of chess that you have no idea what it involves? Think about that. That's something to think about. Let me take a moment to say to all the folks this weekend that led us through doors that you probably wouldn't be able to go through. Thank you all. Again, I want to thank Mama Lou, Ada Marrero, and her Sharon, and all of her family members for feeding us this weekend. Good Lord. Mama Lou fed the heck out of us. And then I also want to take the time to thank Mark Morial and all the folks over at Urban League. Got a chance to hang out with them over the weekend. And, of course, all the folks Saturday night in the Mayor's Suite. We were up there as well. Thank y'all for inviting us and having a part to thank y'all for letting us hang out and have a part into that event as well. So whether you liked it or you didn't, what needs to change? You need to really think about this so that we can say to these folks, y'all need to come to the table and involve the folks. I'm very disappointed to hear that Gina Montana and Gina Charbonnet are longer involved. Very disappointed. And there might be something that can be done about it. But y'all need to work on that and work on it quick. I'll leave it at that. That's going to wrap things up for me. Oh, I got 4 minutes. I got 4 minutes? What? I thought you was going to kick me out. Again. You heard me? Yeah, bring all of them down. All at the same time. I don't want to be alone in this when we make movements. Does that make sense? I don't want to be alone when we make statements, when we make moves. I do think that folks have got to be able to put down their foot and say, let's go. Instead of pointing the finger and saying, what you should have done there, Mr. Candidate, Mr. Elected Official, Mr. Person. All of us have got to make moves. Making moves with numbers scares the hell out of people. Making moves with numbers scares the hell out of people. And what's this I was hearing about Target being a sponsor? What? That in itself just scared the hell out of folks. And it should make them say something. So whatever's presented to you for the next year, whether I'm here or not, because there's a strong possibility that I won't. Who's going to step up? Who is going to be that person? Now, we're talking about the convention center. I ain't even gotten to the part to talk about the empty seats that we saw in the Superdome. Not the seats that were full, the empty seats, because there were a lot of empty seats. There was a whole bunch of empty seats. Not one night, but night. That's ERR night. We'll talk about that too. Because something got to change. Instead of going up and being one of our big ones, what we're seeing is a downturn into something that used to be wonderful. It used to be. All right. We'll have more conversation as we go. Tomorrow we'll be right back here at 4 o'clock. Tell somebody. We got some good stuff tomorrow. Oh, baby. I'll wait to tell you. It's going to be good. Make sure that you join us 4 p.m. Central Time for our folks on the West Coast. What's that, 2 p.m.? And for our folks on the East Coast, that is at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all be careful. We'll see you tomorrow right here on WBOK.